Welcome back to Camus Classics. Today we're going to do, as I said, some of the body work. You can see right here where it's got a little bit of paint still in there and a little bit down here. We have a couple low spots, nothing real bad. Don't even need pulled out, just needs a little bit of mud over it. They're not that deep. So Dad's going to go ahead and mix us up some Bondo and I'll be the camera guy.
I usually just use cardboard to mix this mud on because then I can just throw it away. I don't have to clean it up or anything, so it seems to work fairly well. So we've got a metal pan here that's used for that, but I guess I'm getting lazy in my old age because I just soon mix it up on that and then just throw the cardboard away and cut me a new one. So wow. Haven't got in this for a while, and so I've got to stir it up. I'll get a different one here. As you can see, it's got a kind of an oil base in there. I'll just hurry and mix this up a little bit.
So the product we're using is Rage Extreme from Evercoat. It's what I started using and I really like it. It doesn't get a lot of the bubbles and stuff in it that you get in a lot of the other Bondos. It's kind of a finishing Bondo, so with what we're doing, it'll be just fine.
We're not going to need a whole lot for this. Boy, that sure made that thin.
Pretty warm in the shop today. That's probably helping.
The more of this hardener you put in there, the faster it'll set up. So as warm as it is, we don't want it to set up very fast. We won't get to what we need done. So as you can see, it's getting a little bit of a blue tint to it. I always kind of like these. I can use them better than I can them metal ones. So all we need to do is just
Yeah, hair drip.
we got a little place down here that I started repairing, then I got busy on something else, so we'll just put a little on it while we're riding. A little bit back here.
Okay, so that has it on there. We gotta wait for that to set up and then we can come and sand it. Basically what we're doing is, that's most of the body work we gotta do right here on this panel. So we'll get that done, we'll get it, we'll come back when we're ready to sand it. Then we'll be ready to probably shoot that quarter panel with primer. We actually gotta do a little bit more by the door, but we'll get it ready to go and we can spray part of this for you. Okay, so jumping back to our board of what we've done on the 55 Chevy, we got the frame cleaned, got the rust blast done, we got the paint done, suspension's on, rear end's in, and the frame parts are done. So we can create a new list for the 55 Chevy 442. We're still on the paint prep. We still got the upholstery in our trailer. We still got to do bearings and brakes. I got to get one of those tore off. The company that made the axles is no longer in business, so I got to get the right seals in order to do the bearings and brakes on that. So we'll get one of those wheels off, get the bearings and brakes, and then we can clean our list up and we can start a new list for a 55 Chevy. Okay, so we had to take the front end off in order to get to the bolts that hold the doors on. We got to pull the doors off. You can notice all this isn't painted. We got to paint all this. The person that's painting it for us is doing the outside. We're going to go ahead and do the inside. So we got to do the door jambs, the insides of the doors, you know, the firewall area. The front of the firewall is done in black. This will go red. But we've already set our doors. We pulled the fenders and everything off in one piece, as you can see. We're going to pull the doors off, but we already have everything set. So here's a little trick for you. If you'll take a small drill bit, and you'll notice these hinges have quite a bit of meat to them. If you'll take a small drill bit and drill through that, then when you go to put the door back on, you can run a ice pick through that, and then you can, you know, your doors are going to go right back in the same spot they were. And then we just have to refit the fenders, which was just, you know, pretty simple. So go ahead and drill these. So what we have is you've got the hinge, then the body, and then the mounting plate that these bolts go into. And that's adjustable, so that's why if you do this, then everything's going to fall right back into place where it goes. Okay, so that's got this side done. It's just going to be the same thing on their side. And as you'll notice, they're such a small hole. You're not going to notice them, but they're big enough we can get our pick into. Or a wire, or just anything that's going to line everything up. So that's what we got on that. We're still waiting for our Bondo to dry, so we thought we'd tackle this while we were waiting. So we can get the doors painted and everything ready to go that way.
Later.
So we're back, we're ready to start sanding this Bondo off, and then we can get the fender primed.
Okay, as you can see, the we call it mud. It's actually body filler is what the true name of it is, but we just call it mud. The mud's dry now, so we're ready to start. First thing you want to do is get you a good chair to sit in. I'm going to use this straight line sander for the first part of it, so here we go. You want to keep this as flat as you can so that it keeps the panel flat. As you can see, I'm keeping this flat across this panel. This is 80 grit sandpaper, so it's pretty coarse. I don't want to take it down too far, so I'll just hit the high spots on it and then we'll go from there. See, we're down to the bare metal right here. You want to run your hand across that to see how it feels. I always like to just take a sanding block. It's got not as coarse a sandpaper in it. Just go across it. Another little dent there that I didn't see before. Feels to me there's another dent right there. Here's a way to check it to see if it's got a dent in there or not. You take something harder like this ruler, you set it right on that panel, and if you look down there you can see everything's touching. You just kind of run it down your panel. See, now this is what I got. Look right in here, you can see a gap right there. So we got a little low spot right there. So we're going to have to do some more body work, so we won't be priming right now, but we'll be working on this, getting everything straight. We want to keep it as straight as possible. Dents and that type of stuff really shine when they put it in the paint and stuff. Trying to catch everything while we go. Another thing we got is we got some body moldings that go on here. So you can just take your knife, clean this hole out. Use a drill bit, but that work just as good. So anyway, we'll continue working on this, and hopefully show you some more in a little bit. Thanks.
So I do want to show you one little thing here. Well, you should be able to see it here. So that is why I like this body filler. It doesn't get little pinholes in it. A lot of the main body fillers, Bondo brand stuff, they'll get little pinholes in it if you don't get the, this is more of, like I said, a finishing Bondo. If you don't get that, then you get little pinholes in it, and it just doesn't work well.
One other thing I'd like to show you is, so we get good, so the Bondo sticks good to this car, I like to take this little grinder and clean up this place right here. If you look there, you can see them two little dings. They don't look like much, but when you get the paint on there, if you don't take care of them, they'll stick out like a sore thumb. So
okay, so we still got some work to do on that fender, but we're going to show you how we do priming. We did a little bit on the jams here. So they're in primer, they're ready to go to paint. But we need to do this area between the fender's hood window. So as you can see, we're using a different spray gun. So primer doesn't have a hardener in it, at least the primer we're using. I guess they probably make some that does, but most of the automotive primers we've dealt with, they don't use a hardener. So you can just leave it in the gun, you know, just wipe off the tip, clean up the tip when you're done. But we use that style feed gun instead of a gravity feed gun, because then we can just leave the primer in there. When we need a primer a spot, we just, you know, plug the gun into the air and spray away. So this will just have to dry for a little bit, and then we'll hit it with a light sandpaper, you know, 330, 400 grit, somewhere in there, just to get rid of any like orange peel or little high spots. And then we can go to paint. We already showed you how we paint, so we're not going to wait for that. And that's kind of how we do our body work. As you can see, it's just a time-consuming, tedious process, and that's why we don't want to bore you with 4 or 5 videos of just that. So we will be coming to paint here shortly, and we do have a few other things we've got to do before we paint. I'll show you real quick. We do have the doors. They are in primer as far as the back sides. So that will be ready to go. We can shoot those. We can shoot our door openings and the hood opening area. Get those in the color. Then it's just basically we're down to getting the exterior ready, and then we can shoot the color on it, and then we can go to town working on interior and wiring, engine, transmission. I will show you real quick. So here is the goals before the snow flies. Our enclosed trailer, we need the bearings and seals and brakes. We still haven't done that. I still need to pull one off to get the right seals. On the 442, we're going to do the paint prep, get the gems done. Those should be done this next week. Paint the car, get the engine and transmission in, get the brakes all done, and get the seat mounts fixed. I'll show you those in just a second. On the 55 Chevy, we need to get the cab mounts put on the frame, the cab installed, replace the back panel on the cab, and get the doors on and get those so they're functioning correctly. So here's what we've got on the seat. So it's covered, but there's a stud right here and a nut zert back here. There's, for the passenger side, or inboard side of the seat, those came pre-installed, and they probably are correct for a 66 Chevy, which the Chevelle, which this is a floor for basically all A bodies. So we just need to actually move that out a little bit towards the outside of the car, because the Oldsmobile seats are, the mounts for the seats are not as wide as the Chevy seats. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.